So in this series of lectures on macroeconomic supply factors, we will be talking about how supply factors of certain markets can affect the equilibrium quantity traded or shift the supply curve of that market either left or right. So now the first supply factor we will look at is how changes in the firm's production costs can affect the supply of that firm. So as we know firms exist to maximize profits, and so firms exist to maximize profits. And so because we're assuming that resources are mobile, they are directed to the area of production with the lowest opportunity cost and therefore the highest or maximal profit. So now assume that in the market for wheat there is an increase in production costs. And what this means is that the cost of producing wheat is greater than what it was before. And so we're assuming that the supply of wheat is relatively elastic for simplicity reasons, and so is the demand. So initially we have a market equilibrium at price P1 and the market quantity sold at Q1. And so because we know that the profit level for a firm is equal to total revenue minus total costs, if we can see that total cost or the firm's production costs in fact increase, we can see that the total profit would in fact decrease. And so what this means is that because resources are mobile and because firms exist to maximize profits, they will reallocate resources to other productive uses. And so the supply curve of the wheat market would decrease to the left. So we'll shift to the left from S1 to S2. And so what that means in reality is that many firms will find it unprofitable to exist in the wheat market and therefore maybe try different business ventures. Maybe go to the barley market, for example, as a substitute good. And so what happens if the supply shifts to the left is that the quantity demanded is still at Q1, but the quantity supplied, or the new quantity supplied, is now at Q2. And so now we can see that there is now an excess or a surplus in demand, which also means there is a shortage in supply. And what this means is because there is a shortage in supply, demand will contract, or the price of the good, or the price of the wheat would actually increase to this point, because producers, even though they're producing less, they still want to cover all their cost bases, and so they would mark the price. And so now the new price will be at the new equilibrium point at PE. And so what this means is as the price increases, we would experience also a contraction in the demand curve. And now as we approach this new equilibrium at E2, we experience a movement along the demand curve, or a contraction of the demand curve from E1 to E2. And now we can see that the equilibrium quantity traded, following this new change in market structure or prevailing market circumstances, there is a new equilibrium quantity traded at QE, which corresponds to the new equilibrium price at PE. Okay, so now let's examine what would happen if the production cost of a firm actually decreases. And so now we see that because production total costs are to decrease, this would mean that total costs would decrease and therefore profits increase, since the magnitude of total costs here becomes small. So total revenue minus total cost becomes a greater number. So what happens here is we use the same demand supply analysis. We have quantity, price, and say the same market for wheat. we have supply curve, which is up sloping, a demand curve, which is downward sloping, and the original market equilibrium at P1 and Q1. So at this point, demand or consumers are happy, suppliers are happy, everything is being bought, and everything is being sold by consumers. Okay. So now because total costs have decreased, we will see extra profit opportunities in this market for wheat. And so the suppliers will increase their supply from S1 to S2. And so now we see a shift in the supply curve. Now what this means is because now there is excess supply at S2 at this original price here. So originally the supply is, or the demand is here, and now because the supply shift to the left, now there is a new equilibrium quantity at Q2, or a new quantity demanded corresponding to this price. This should be a P, or this should be a Q1. The quantity demanded originally, which was Q1, is now corresponding to a quantity supplied at Q2. So what this means is there is a surplus in supply. And so to get rid of this surplus, producers will therefore decrease prices. And this will represent a contraction in supply. And because when producers decrease prices, their profits go down because the cost of, or the sales price of a kilo of wheat would go down. Therefore, they would allocate more resources to other uses, and therefore supply would contract until we meet a new equilibrium point at point PE. And this corresponds to a new equilibrium quantity traded at QE. And so the market will reach a new equilibrium where buyers and sellers clear the market. And so this is how a change in a firm's production costs would shift the supply curve either to the left if production costs decrease, or to the right, or to the left if production costs increase, or to the right if production costs decrease.